To tell the truth, I don't know much about Marian devotions. Up until becoming Catholic, I thought that the rosary was a good luck charm you put in your car so you don't get into car accidents. So when I was meditating on this Our Lady of Sorrows memorial, I went to the USCCB website to see if I could get something to grasp on. And they actually paired the Gospel today with a reading from Corinthians. And in it, Paul tells us to avoid idolatry. And so my immediate thought is, okay, do I have any statues of Buddha in my room? Or am I reading my horoscopes? Or am I doing anything that goes against my Christian faith? But if we look at the context of Corinth, we'll see something a little bit different. So in Corinth, there was a common practice among the pagans of sacrificing meat to their pagan gods. And after this huge slaughtering of meat, there would be these ginormous festivals where everyone would consume the meat that was sacrificed to the gods. And then the Christian community in Corinth was having this dilemma. Should we partake in this custom that's going on in Corinth? It's no big deal because we're Christian. We don't believe in those pagan gods. So what's the big deal? And then Paul chimes in and says, the problem isn't the idols themselves. The problem isn't in eating the food. The problem is that you're practicing something that's spiritually distorted. You are partaking in something that is, in a way, like the Eucharist. You're eating at a table, and you're eating with community, but it's not the community of Christ. And so the problem lies in, you're passively retaining something that is not God. And I don't think that gets enough attention these days. We have to be careful about what we let in, because sometimes, I know for myself, we are very easily influenced. For instance, we watched this movie called Mamma Mia, and I cannot stand songs from that group, ABBA. And as soon as the movie was over, that's all I could sing. Mamma Mia, here we go again. And I'm like, oh, are you serious? And then I'll be in the shower, and I'll still be, Mamma Mia, I'll be in chapel, Mamma Mia, I'll be at dinner, Mamma Mia, and it just kept going and going and going, and I couldn't get the song out of my head. And it was driving me crazy, because it's this cheesy, catchy, saccharine song, but I couldn't get it out of my head. And I would realize something, wow, I don't give enough credit to the things that I hear passively. I don't give enough credit to the things that I see passively. I think if I want to retain something, I have to focus and have to work hard at it. But there's power in passivity. So one of the big problems of Paul's community in Corinth is that they were actively going out to these feasts that were celebrating these pagan gods. And why would these people go out to entertain or even passively worship these pagan gods? And I think the problem lies in that they did not see God. They're not gifted like Paul. They think God is somewhere else. He is far and distant. And this community, this moment, these people, they're what's real. So let's sit at these tables. And so how many times do we do this to ourselves? We call ourselves Christian, but we're passively acting in a different manner. We do this by seeking pleasure, pursuing our own goals, trying to prove ourselves, or trying to feel loved by those around us. We keep trying and trying and trying to search for something because we don't feel the presence of God. We have reduced God into this ethereal, abstract character that we read in the book called the Bible. He is so far distant from us that we seek fulfillment in other things. Now, this is not something that is just prevalent today. This has always been out through history, most particularly in the Middle Ages, when Marian devotions were starting to come around. This one particular, Our Lady of Sorrows, is a meditation on Mary's experience of watching her son being crucified. See, in the Middle Ages, they had the same problem that we have now, is that they see God as a far and distant figure. They know of Christ, but they don't know Christ. They know that he is God, and that he does incredible miracles, and that he died and rose from the dead. But there's so much focus on the divine aspect, his supernatural side, but they kind of put his human side aside. So then, there began these series of devotions, these series of meditations that weren't about the miracles, that weren't about the teachings, that weren't about his divinity, they were about his humanity. And this was best told through the gaze of his mother. So, we hear this phrase, "Mother knows best," and I hate that phrase. I think it's something my mom uses as ammo to make me do something I don't want to do. You know, you have to clean your clothes. Why? Mother knows best. You have to eat your vegetables. Why? Mother knows best. You have to go to a school nearby me so I can see you every single day. Why? Because mother knows best. And it's interesting because there's something about a mom where it's not just about moms telling you what to do or how to act or where to go, but I feel like the thing about mother knows best is something deeper, something more extreme, something so intrinsic to a woman who has given birth to a child. They know us. Not necessarily what we like or what we do or what's good for us or who we are, but they are connected to us in a manner that us religious men can never experience. My friend Nicole gave birth to her first son, and I asked her what that was like. Not the birth itself, but being a mom. And she said that she never knew she could feel this way. She said, "Andrew, the pains are so low. And when they're low, you feel like the worst person ever. But when the highs are high, it's transcendent." And so I was just thinking about my own mother and about how she cries over everything, you know? One of my brothers sums it up best, is that mother's crying is that they cry over if you get a paper cut, or they cry over if you scrape your knee. It's sort of like this intense emotional connection they have with their child. And so when I thought about it, being a mom is pretty exhausting, emotionally exhausting. But brothers and sisters, this is what we have to channel. So this kind of meditation, this meditation on watching a loved one die, isn't something we should take lightly. It's not something that's sunshine and rainbows, or something that's just nice to do. It's not something that's comfortable. I see many times that these Mary devotions take up different demeanors. One is an obligation. Oh, I have to pray my rosary today because I just have to. It's part of my life as a religious. Or indifference. Well, I guess I'll just pray the rosary today. Or sacred, overly sweet. I can't wait to pray the rosary today. These kind of false, or in a way, superficial levels of looking at devotions is not what we're supposed to adopt. A more productive meditation comes from human experience. This is something we have to challenge. It's an emotion that we experience that's all-encompassing, that's intense, that drives us to call out to God in everything that we do. To meditate on Our Lady of Sorrows, to truly meditate on Mary's experience on the cross, we have to know what it's like to lose someone. And when we think about that, there are no sunshines and rainbows. There are no happy faces and smiley faces, no indifference, there's no obligation. It hurts. It sucks. It's not a pleasant experience. And when we channel those emotions, we find comfort in those who have faced similar problems. It's like if someone's struggling with a drug addiction, they find solace in someone else who has struggled with drug addiction. If someone's struggling with alcoholism, they find solace in somebody else. If someone has lost a loved one, he or she finds solace in someone else who has lost a loved one. So when we reflect on our own pain and our own loss, we are connected to a woman who tragically and terribly lost her son. And we can find comfort in understanding that son through her. She is no longer some character in a book. She is no longer something you just use to be holy. She is no longer your instrument. She is connected to you, and you are connected to her son. There's a line in one of the meditations for today that reads, "Can the human heart refrain from partaking in her pain, in that mother's pain untold?" So, brothers and sisters, do not reduce Jesus and our Blessed Mother to something that you just say because you are obliged to. Something you do as part of our Catholic culture or part of our tradition or a way to express piety. That is not giving someone's pain and suffering the respect it deserves. Instead, meditate on what connects us as human beings. Meditate on our own emotions, our own pain, and understand that, you know what? God isn't so far and distant. Because when we reflect on our own pain, we are connected to a woman's pain. And that woman is a mother, and mother knows best.